I'm Sienna. I'm the kid.
I'm Sarah. I'm the mom.
This is Queer Kid Straight Mom.
Let's talk. Welcome back to Queer Kid Straight Mom. So we took a break to end last season and start this one like we have in years past. And I realized we didn't actually tell you we were doing that before we did it.
You're smart. You can figure it out. We believe in you.
Anyway, so yes, welcome to season 4 of Queer Kid Straight Mom. We are still going to air our episode about K-pop demon hunters, but we're pushing that back a little bit because, as you all know, the world has gone completely crazy this week, and there are some things that we need to talk about.
I mean, the world might have already been crazy. Maybe we just went more crazy.
Obviously, in the midst of all this violence, you have heard the chatter from the right about trans people particularly being dangerous because I think 5, does that seem right?
4? I thought it was 4. 4 was the number I'd seen.
4 or 5 shooters have been trans.
0.1% of mass shootings, to be clear, in the last 10 years or so, 10, 15 years.
So it's unreasonable the way that a lot of people on the far right, or not even the far right anymore, just the right, have latched onto this because it's such a rare thing. But, we've seen immediately after the shooting of Charlie Kirk happened, Nancy Mace said something like, I bet it was a tranny or something offensive like that. So there was that. I saw a clip of Ben Shapiro saying, when there's a shooting, you can assume that the person is probably trans. What? Anyway, this is a big talking point. And so I just feel like we need to address how inaccurate that is and reiterate, as we have said, I think multiple times on this show, how much more likely transgender people are to be the victims of a shooting
or any other kind of violence.
Than the perpetrators. Like, we're talking about a group that is targeted more than the regular population for acts of violence. And so to turn around and claim that they are the source of the violence is just, to me, that's just offensive on a different level.
Well, it's offensive, and it's also like a very naked attempt to come up with an excuse to restrict trans people's rights further, right? Now we have news that the Justice Department is looking into ways of restricting trans people's right to own guns, which it's a bad sign when the NRA is the only people on your side. But yeah, like the NRA has even said, no, that's obviously unconstitutional. You can't just create a blanket group of people who doesn't get to own guns.
Oh, I didn't know if they had responded to that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, I mean, I guess for the one time I will ever say it, good for the NRA.
Well, at least they're consistent, right? I disagree with basically everything the NRA has ever done, but
when they say everyone should be allowed to have a gun, they mean everyone. They're inclusive.
Uh-huh.
We love that.
But right. My point being that, that it's not just rhetorical. It's not just mean. It's not just bigoted. It is the precursor to more attempts to restrict trans people's civil liberties and stop trans people from existing.
Yeah. And it's kind of an interesting, there's been a lot of talk about, people on both sides. And yes, there are people on all sides of everything that do and say disgusting things. Like, that is true. But a difference I see consistently between at least the people that I follow or give the time of day on the left and the right is that I think generally, I know for myself this is true, that I watch what people say and do, and I base whether I think they're good people or safe people or dangerous people based on that. And I see the right over and over again decide that a group of people is a problem, is threatening, they don't like them, and then they manufacture the reasons to think that they're not safe. oh, we don't like transgender people. So if there are a couple of transgender people that shoot other people, we're going to link them to violence because that makes our case. And yes, I think everybody falls victim to that sort of confirmation bias, right? You look for things that confirm your point of view. But this like actually rolls into making up things that support your point of view. It's so dishonest. And I guess the reason they would say that transgender people are a threat is because like it's something they don't understand and they don't like. And they want to make sure that, it doesn't quote unquote spread. But that's not what transgender advocates or allies do. They're not out there saying, we think everybody should be trans. Being trans is the best way to be. They're saying, if you are this way, if this is how you were born, this is how you feel, this is who you are, that's okay.
What people are saying is the right way to be is the way that, like, the gender expression that makes you feel happy.
Yeah.
Which is a weird thing to be mad about. Like, if you're a cis guy and you feel like being super masculine and super macho is the gender presentation that is helpful for you, as long as you're not hurting people, as long as you're not using that as a reason to commit violence against people, nothing with that. Same thing goes for very feminine women. I will say that, sometimes there is an attitude amongst a variety of groups of people who they'll look down on women for behaving in a traditionally feminine way. But the trans people I know absolutely embrace that. Like, any gender presentation is completely fine and completely embraced as long as it's what makes you happy and it's not hurting anyone else.
Right. So then what this looks like to me is the people that are so worried about the spread of this ideology, like what they're doing is saying, if you feel like this, that's wrong. You need to hide that. You need to not let that take control, which it's like controlling people through fear, through breaking them down. I don't know. I think there's a lot of the stuff that probably falls into like traditional religions and the ways that they have been sort of twisted for these right wing purposes. What I, as somebody who has studied the Bible and religion a lot, like see as a complete twisting of a lot of what is in the Bible for political purposes. The, it's so common to see in the places that do that, this sort of break you down, undermine your self-confidence so we can build you back up the way we think you should be.
Well, and this is why it's, to your point about religion, that I have seen people talking about how, Charlie Kirk dying, we've lost a great warrior for the gospel. I don't know what gospel they're reading, but this is a guy who said that things were better when Black people were enslaved because there was less crime, that Black women don't have the brain capacity to earn high capacity jobs, that children dying in mass shootings is just an unfortunate byproduct of a country that has a strong Second Amendment. All of these absolutely despicable, horrible things that people are saying makes him a warrior for the gospel.
I think it's this culture war thing because he said, I'm a Christian, I am a man of faith, and I'm not afraid to say it. Then he automatically that qualifies you as a hero to a lot of these people.
Okay, so if I just go and say, I'm a Christian, and then I do whatever horrible thing, it's fine because I'm a Christian? Because I don't actually think that would work for me.
I mean, it's hard to imagine, but Donald Trump can say he's a Christian and people believe him. All it seems to be is that you're quote unquote brave enough to say, I'm a Christian.
I actually don't think that's it. I think that you have to use, I'm a Christian and I'm not afraid to say it. And that also makes me not afraid to say a bunch of other horrible things that target the people that they like. I think that's what the difference is.
Probably.
That you have to prove that you're not afraid to be a Christian by using it as an excuse for, all other horrible things that you do that target people they don't like.
No, that's probably true.
I want to go back to something you said about, there's been definitely this narrative that like, yeah, there are bad people on both sides and both sides commit political violence. And that is technically true in the most literal sense. Yes, political violence is committed by people on both the left and right. But in a effective communication sense, it's so incredibly misleading. It's like to the point that it's almost not true at all. AP News fact checking the statement from Heritage Foundation President Kevin Roberts saying most political violence in the last 25 years has been initiated by the left. This is, in fact, not remotely true. So if we look at analysis of political violence that has taken place in the United States, 2 years ago, a team of researchers from 4 universities examined court records and other data relating to 3,500 extremists active in the US between 1948 and 2022. The individuals were split into 3 groups: left wing, right wing, and relating to Islamic extremism. I do want to make a quick point here that although Republicans really hate Muslims, Islamic extremism is actually fundamentally a lot more similar to right-wing conservatism than anything else, right? Because although it is slightly different in its manifestation and values, it is fundamentally still about saying that, our religion is the right one. Our religion is the one that you should adhere to. Anyone who doesn't adhere to those values should be ostracized, attacked, imprisoned, whatever. And we're going to use violence to carry that out.
Christian nationalism.
Right. Yeah. Those are the same things, even if they're manifested in different religions. Right. So anyway, continuing. Right-wing extremists were just as likely to commit violent acts as those motivated by Islamic extremism. Okay, makes sense. Left-wing extremists were a distant third. In fact, violent acts by left-wing groups have been diminishing for decades following violence by radical groups like the Weather Underground, a far-left militant organization founded in 1969. In recent years, violence by right-wing groups has far outpaced violence by left-wing groups. The founding director of the National Consortium for the Study of Terrorism and Responses to Terrorism, which studies extremism and political violence, Gary Lafree, said, "There are very few left-wing cases these days, in fact." I think a big reason for that is also like the violence that has been directed towards, I was going to say abortion clinics, and like it's actually inaccurate because a lot of these are actually reproductive healthcare clinics that also perform abortions. So violence directed towards reproductive healthcare organizations, right? Bomb threats, actual bombings, violent protests actually make up a really big portion of political violence in the United States. And it's all anti-abortion activists. Just point being that saying, as a lot of news outlets and a lot of people in general have been, claiming that, oh, both sides are doing political violence is just, it's really distorted and inaccurate. And I actually think that when, someone like the Washington Post writes that in a newsletter or something, I think that's a complete failure of journalistic ethics because it's so misrepresenting the data.
I mean, it is a narrative. That's all it is a not fact-based narrative. And from what I've seen, a lot of Republicans are just continuing on as if we didn't learn everything we learned about this kid that shot Charlie Kirk.
Well, that's the thing also is that if you look at what a lot of experts on political violence have to say, they would tell you that a lot of the increase we're seeing in political violence, it's political violence only in the sense that it targets political figures and authority figures. But the people who are carrying out the violence don't really have any kind of coherent political ideology. They just want to take out their anger on someone with power.
Except for one specific case I can think of that happened in the last few months. And that was the assassination of Melissa Hortman and her husband in Minnesota.
Right.
That guy specifically had expressed that he wanted to take out Democrats because of their policies.
But a lot of the attacks on right-wing figures that we think, like the assassination attempt on Donald Trump or this guy who shot Charlie Kirk, they don't seem to have, they seem to actually have come from relatively conservative backgrounds. No clear party affiliation, no clear manifesto necessarily. So it's a lot of this violence is just people being violent.
I mean, the bottom line is if you think that everybody should have guns, that the answer to gun violence is more guns and let's not restrict who has guns, like you are building and promoting a culture where especially young, impressionable men who mythologize this, world of violence, you're creating a culture in which they internalize guns as how you deal with things.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing ultimately is that Charlie Kirk actively advocated for a world in which everybody can have guns and there are basically no restrictions on who can have guns. And gun related violence as a consequence of people getting guns who shouldn't have been able to get guns is just an unfortunate side effect of, the value system that he believed in. So it's really hard to be upset or empathetic or sympathetic or anything nice when he was a casualty of the world that he advocated for and helped create.
Which, sadly, I mean, people I think are getting fired for saying things like that right now, which is terrifying. And all of the people the day he was shot that jumped in with, what happened to free speech?
He's a martyr for free speech, is what people are saying.
Awfully silent about people getting fired. There's a local coffee shop somebody just made me aware of this morning that I guess a couple of their employees said things that offended people, and they've been getting threats. Some of the things that they shared, like, oh, it'd be a shame if that burned down, or, oh, they're awfully close to the train tracks. That could be a dangerous location. Like, it's so icky. And when you combine that attitude of like fear and you can't, like, stifling disagreement, and you combine that with all of the incendiary things that the right has said about people they don't like. And now you have Charlie Kirk's widow who, like, empathy, like, losing your husband, raising your kids alone after that. Like, yes, my heart goes out to her. But when I see her saying, wait till the world sees what is unleashed or whatever, like, that gives me goosebumps. That scares me.
This is the thing is that, there's been this attitude of the left has incited violence against people by calling Trump supporters fascists, which is just kind of like, I mean, if the boot fits. Meanwhile, if we look at what they've done, I mean, Charlie Kirk himself said that some patriot needs to bail out. Who was it?
The guy that attacked Paul Pelosi.
Yep, the guy that attacked Paul Pelosi. Some patriot needs to bail him out, implying, like he's some kind of hero.
Donald Trump pardoned people who were saying, hang Mike Pence.
Right, hang Mike Pence. I mean, pardon people who cops on the Capitol steps. Like,
yeah.
And now, that I've seen tweets saying that if it turns out that the shooter was trans people need to be completely exterminated. That, you have no idea what kind of violence is going to be unleashed. We need to go to war over this. Like, that is violent rhetoric. That is violence inciting rhetoric. Meanwhile, I mean, I would argue that every Democrat I've seen commenting on it has been like overly nice, like overly empathetic, like saying no one should be killed for their political beliefs. And Charlie Kirk was doing politics the right way. Charlie Kirk was a great guy who tried to have political conversations, like absolutely whitewashing what a horrible person he was.
Yeah, like I saw, what did I see? Something about they killed him because they couldn't debate him or something.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he did that debate thing that I hate watching, like that JD Vance does, where you just say a bunch of lies and you say them over and over again. That's not debate.
No.
And you think that you won because at the end of it, you're still saying the thing that you started out saying.
Yeah, I mean, it's just so frustrating because he obviously resorting to violence is a symptom of a really deeply unhealthy, broken society. And that's not a good thing. But the idea that he was somehow a hero who sacrificed himself for his beliefs is just so offensive.
Yeah, I think the hardest thing for me in the past few days, besides, it's a violent world and I'm scared for people I care about and all of that, has been seeing people that, like, I have always thought of as, I don't think we agree on everything, but, like, we're friends. This person cares about me. Deep down, this person cares about me. Seeing those people glorify a man who said that you're delusional, personally feels like a slap in the face because, oh, you still think of things this way. You're not going to speak up for my child. You're not going to have our back. And you just see this as like the people that say, oh, I have a Black friend.
Mm-hmm.
You were just like, oh, well, Sarah has a trans kid and they're decent people, but the rest of them.
Yeah, and it's very frustrating also that we're apparently supposed to, not comment on how horrible he was, that we're supposed to again kind of whitewash everything because he had kids and we shouldn't speak ill of the dead. And I mean, would y'all be like we shouldn't speak ill of the dead after Hitler died? Would y'all be like we shouldn't speak ill of the dead after Mao died or Stalin died? No, I don't think so. Like when horrible people die, no one is obligated to go back and rewrite their memory to make people feel better about supporting them.
I think the difference in this case for people is that Hitler, Osama bin Laden, like you can say this person was responsible for their deaths. We can prove that. We know this person was responsible for all of these deaths. The people whose deaths that Charlie Kirk's rhetoric is responsible for cannot be proven. There's not a trail. So what it sounds like you were saying to people that don't see his rhetoric as dangerous is that you're comparing somebody who said things you didn't like to somebody who killed thousands of people. And so I think they're like, that's ridiculous. He's not Hitler because he didn't physically throw people in gas chambers.
Well, I mean, neither did Hitler.
Well, that's true.
Well, I mean,
Hitler didn't either.
That is the thing, though, right?
He didn't order people to do it.
That's the thing, right? Is that ultimately what Hitler did was just words. He didn't do any actual killing.
Right.
Mao, an even better example, Mao didn't actively kill anyone when he started the Great Famine. He just had really bad policy ideas.
Yeah.
I mean, you can talk about like other stuff like the Cultural Revolution and all that. But I mean, if we use the Great Famine as an example, he still caused people to die. Republicans are actively causing people to die. There is like we have an estimated death count from getting rid of USAID.
Yeah.
We know how many people are going to die because of that.
Yeah.
But people are going to fall back on, well, it's just words.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, is that if you are actively perpetuating a hateful ideology, you are a participant in the violence that stems from that ideology.
And I think the disconnect, based on things that I have seen posted by people who I probably won't see anymore because I have been on an unfriending spree in the past couple of days, they believe that we are a bunch of weak people who cannot handle anybody telling us the truth.
Mm-hmm.
So when they tell us that we're delusional or whatever, that we hate them because we don't want to acknowledge the truth. Like they honestly believe that, like honestly believe that like transgender people are delusional and that people that are willing to be brave enough to tell them the truth about it, even though they're not supposed to, that those people are heroes because they're brave enough to take criticism for being the only ones that are willing to say anything.
Well, and that's the thing, right, is that it's never just words, though, right? If it were just someone coming up to me and being like, you're delusional, I mean, rude, but whatever. But it's not that. It's that they're also promoting policies that say that I should get the police called on me when I'm in the bathroom, that I should not have the healthcare that is necessary for my well-being, that I should not be allowed to dress in the way that I want to, that I should not be allowed to be near children. It's never just words.
Yeah.
Words become proposals, become policy, become action.
Yep. And combine that with we have a lot of mentally unhealthy people at this point for various reasons. If you want to go down a huge policy rabbit hole, there's all sorts of literature linking air pollution to mental health issues, depression and things like that. So, I mean, if we could go on all day about right-wing policies that are contributing to problems, but we'll say there are a lot
I think it's the seed oils. I think that's the problem.
Must be the seed oils. Yeah, right. I forgot about that. Yeah, so we have a lot of people that are not in good mental health. And we have a culture that is encouraging people to have guns more and more. Like, oh, there's more violence. We better have more guns. It's a tinderbox.
Mm-hmm.
And from the top of our government, we have people that lash out, throw around slurs, blame people who are not to blame, make up things to villainize whatever group they don't like.
And that there's no recourse for a lot of these things, that people feel like, oh my God, everything is out of control. Like I'm in pain all the time. My family is suffering. People are dying and I can't do anything about it. And there is never going to be any kind of accountability for these people. And that ultimately is what really causes political violence. I mean, American Revolution, right?
Right.
Most people are not going to say, oh, the American Revolution was a bad thing because political violence is bad. Political violence is a consequence of a society that is not functioning, of a social contract that has been broken by the government. And so if people are resorting to political violence out of desperation,
Right. Which let
it's
me
bad.
throw in that no, we are not advocating political violence. We're saying do the other thing. Do the thing where you
Right.
listen to people and give them a voice. Don't be an autocrat.
Right.
Don't go that direction. We are saying stop this. Stop this craziness where Donald Trump can say whatever he wants and nobody stands up to him. Nobody pushes back. People are
The
getting
Supreme Court is like, oh, racial profiling is totally cool.
yeah, like it's out of control and everybody feels out of control and it's just a dangerous, dangerous situation. So, no, nobody, I mean, I don't know. I can't speak for everybody in the world. I'm not happy that a horrible thing happened to somebody. I don't want anybody to be killed. I don't want prisoners on death row to be killed. Even the people that have done the most horrible things, when I see in the news that they were executed, I think how terrifying must those last days have been. Killing is horrible. I am not happy that somebody killed Charlie Kirk. Yeah, like I think what we're both saying is this situation has been created and now we're all dealing with the fallout, but it didn't come from nowhere.
Well, it's sort of the other side of the coin of exactly what Charlie Kirk said, that it's a consequence of the society that we've created. But Charlie Kirk was okay with that, and we're not. I mean, I would also point out, though, that, yeah, I mean, I think we're both on the same page as far as like, no, like, I really don't care how bad a person is. I don't think that the death penalty is ever constructive or ever valuable to society. I don't support war ever. But a lot of the people who are now turning around and saying violence is never the answer, violence is never okay, are people who support the US going to war. They're people who support all kinds of violence.
Who shared memes of Donald Trump invading Chicago.
Right. Mike Lee
Ugh.
posting jokes about the politician who was assassinated in Minnesota. They are people who have no problem glorifying, but they all support the death penalty.
And they have no empathy.
All of these people have been silent, if not actively mocking, about all kinds of violence in the past. And this is apparently the only kind of violence that it's enough to get them up off the couch. Laura Loomer posted that congratulations to George Floyd for being 5 years sober.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't care about police brutality. They mock the victims of police brutality. And this is the man that they've decided is where they draw the line.
It has been fascinating to watch the response to like hypocrisy being laid bare. It's a really interesting. There will be case studies. What a fascinating time to be studying political psychology. Anyway, so yeah, kind of a depressing topic, and we really hope that everybody is doing okay right now. It is a tough time. It's hard to see horrible things in the news constantly. It's hard to be scared that you might be targeted as some kind of misguided retribution for this.
Which is not us being paranoid, by the way. I mean, a bunch of HBCUs across the country were in lockdown because as soon as Charlie Kirk got shot, they started getting violent threats.
Yeah, people are getting fired for expressing different opinion. There are a lot of reasons to not feel good about the world right now. So please take care of yourselves and reach out for help if you're feeling really, really distraught. Please, this is too much to carry on your own. If you don't have somebody to talk to, reach out to us or, a local organization that can find resources for you to talk to somebody. Violence, especially, can be really difficult for people that have been victims of violence or know people who have been victims of violence. So just do what you need to do to take care of yourselves. And we promise in our next episode, we will be more lighthearted and we'll talk about something fun and hope that by the time that episode comes out, things have calmed down a little bit and that we don't have to bump that episode again for some new crisis.
We could put a poll on our Instagram stories of whether people want K-pop Demon Hunters or they want Taylor Swift.
Oh, right.
I mean, we're going to do both of them, to be clear. We want to talk about both of these things.
We're going to do both of these episodes coming up. But yeah, we'll take a poll. What's going to make everybody feel like what's going to be the best like ice cream sundae after you've had a bad day for you? The episode about K-pop Demon Hunters and the kind of queer metaphors within, or
a deep dive into Gaylerism, the theory that Taylor Swift is secretly gay.
And
which has been coming up a lot lately because, she's engaged to a man, in case you've been living under a rock and missed that.
Yeah. And we're going to go into how insane it is to base your happiness on whether a famous person you've never met is gay or straight. So we're going to, because Sienna tells me it is quite the thing.
People worry me.
And that sums it all up. So yeah, take our poll if you want, and we'll put it on Instagram and tell us which episode you want us to air next. And take care of each other. Love wins. We hope.
Trans rights are human rights.
Yep, all of that. Catch you next time.
Bye.
If you found this episode interesting, informative, amusing, please review and follow us on your podcasting platform of choice. Getting those reviews and follows really helps us show up more in the algorithm and be able to reach more people to help them. You can find us on social media, Instagram, and Threads at queerkid.straightmom, Blue Sky at qksm.bsky.social, and Facebook at queerkidstraightmom. We are no longer on Twitter.